Welcome to We Are Not Alone, where local investigators, as well as world-renowned scientists and ufologists, share their latest evidence in support of the UFO reality. Hi, I'm David Twitchell, and for the next hour, we'll be exploring the mysteries of the UFO, UAP, and abduction phenomenon. Bill Murphy has a BA and MA from Michigan State University and did further postgraduate work in ancient history at the University of Michigan. He taught world civilizations college courses and worked full-time in the automotive industry as a quality practitioner, teacher, trainer, and facilitator. He retired from General Motors as a senior data analyst and associate dean of its quality college. He served the Mutual UFO Network in the 1990s as a field investigator, newsletter editor, and state section co-director, retiring as Michigan State co-director in 1997. In 2007, Bill joined the board of the J. Allen Hynek Center for UFO Studies. In 2016, he retired from business, joined Anomalist.com, and now serves as a news editor. There, he received over 10,000, and I should say reviewed over 10,000 online articles, blog items, book reviews, and academic papers in ufology and archaeology. Bill now lives in Colorado Springs, Colorado, with his wife Linda, a PhD in electrical and computer engineering. Bill has been on the show a little over a year ago, but much more has happened in ufology since then. So, welcome back, Bill Murphy.
Hey, Dave, thank you very much. It's great to be back and talk with you.
Good to talk to you and see you after quite a few years. You abandoned us here in Michigan for higher ground, should I say.
You very much can. I rarely get below a mile above sea level.
So anyway, what is your connection with the J. Allen Hynek Center for UFO Studies, or CUFOS?
Well, I'm on the board. I have the title of treasurer, but we're a nonprofit, so I basically right now am functioning that when a question comes to the center and Dr. Rodiger, who's the executive director, the heir to Dr. Hynek, wants me to, I will do interviews for him, kind of represent the center. And of course, my own opinions are not those necessarily of the center. We really united in seeking a scientific and rigorous approach to the subject, but we do have varying views on some of the different aspects. I mean, this is a tremendously diverse topic, and I, particularly with the humanities background, am interested in the UFO and human connection, how the two interrelate. I should probably mention, I will keep saying UFO, partly because UAP, having a Latin background, UAP can be singular or plural, and people mess it up all the time in terms of the source. It really actually goes back into Greek through Latin. But also, you know, I'm used to CUFOS, UFOS, and I don't know if I could get into CUAPS or whatever it would be.
Right.
So, you know, you're not as old as I am, but you know, we've been in this field for quite a long time. We tend to build up tendencies. But anyway, I represent the center in that. And then I view as kind of an outgrowth of that, the fact that after I did retire from various business activities, I was able to hook up with Patrick Weege and anomalist.com. And I was able there to pursue my UFO interests and also an archaeological background. We try to separate the wheat from the chaff, as it were, for our reading audience, trying in a sense to give them what's out there, whether it's the mainstream, whether it's academic stuff, whether it's what you might consider some of the more strong UFO podcasts and websites and things like that. It's got to be online rather than in the social, if you will, online kind of stuff, so that it's more accessible to the people that we try to reach across the world. But it's been a tremendous learning experience for me. I view myself more actually as a reporter than a researcher, because there's so much. It's a lake that's 5 miles wide, and my depth in that lake is very limited, maybe 3 inches, some places 6. But, I try to go into it with a rigorous background. There's a little science in my background too, and a statistical outlook. And that pretty much, I think, serves me well. So every week I'll do about 9 submissions. I have articles from 1 article to 7 in length. I have to keep to a word limitation, which, as you probably know, is difficult for me, doing that and talking. Folks, he may have to stop me a couple times, but it's something that I really enjoy. I think that I'm able to contribute by getting this stuff sifted, signal from noise, wheat from chaff, and it's a real hoot.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, separating the wheat from the chaff, the good from the bad. So in a recent article you published on the Anomalist, got to mention that, Anomalist, List.com,
Correct.
that website suggested that the government is doing a slow drip release of the UFO phenomenon based on the recent Pentagon data dumps. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I sure can. And I think that article was pretty much on point. The guy there the person there made a case based upon, I think, a background understanding on their part that it was perhaps a very deep subject, and that it might agitate people's worldviews and indeed universe views.
Always.
But the idea was that it was not going to be anything really sudden, that it was going to be more along the line of a little d disclosure for quite some time before it got to the big D disclosure kind of thing. And I have to say, we're talking on the 12th, the 3rd data dump from the Department of War just came in this morning. Had to get something up pretty quickly on that. And I was glad to see that a pretty serious researcher, Andy McGrillen of that UFO podcast, had reviewed it and had pretty much the same takeaway as I did about that, which, well, he expressed it in good Scottish terms, but it really wasn't much of anything new. There was stuff from the CIA. There was stuff, of course, from the FBI. Andy talked about the fact that if you get into the stuff, Arrow is in there as a kind of a back source. And NASA had some of the usual astronaut related stuff. But there was precious little in the way of videos, and they were not outstandingly exciting. There really wasn't. To me, the most interesting thing was a recent case. They did have some more recent stuff, but they still had a little bit of early stuff. But the FBI had more recent reports. I found a Colorado case in, I think it was 1922. interesting because it was covered in two different of their resources, one called the Aero IC Partner, and then oh gosh, I think it was the FBI itself. And that was a very interesting, probably cloud formation that was backlit by the light coming up from behind the clouds. So it really was not much unless we find that somebody's able to dig deeper into that.
Yeah,
So
people often mistake lenticular clouds with UFOs.
yeah,
Was that what
yeah,
it was?
I think it was. There were some there was some talk about it having a kind of roiling quality to it, kind of an octagonal kind of shape, which is a little bit unusual. But I will tell you that since I've come west, I have seen lenticular clouds like you wouldn't believe.
Hmm.
Back in Michigan, we didn't see anything like this.
No.
And for somebody that's now familiar with the territory, and I've seen reports from here where somebody will see that, or I can see Cheyenne Mountain, and people will look at that at night and see the lights and think that's a UFO. And I'm not sure they're kidding because I think some of these are people that have lived here for a while. But you know how it is. There are a lot of people out there that aren't tuned to this like we are. And then all of a sudden they'll look in the sky. They're hearing stuff now in the background. The whole climate of knowledge about ufology has come up among the general public. And that's why I think your podcast and the stuff that I do is so important because we try to get out credible information, a variety of subjects, from a variety of viewpoints to the people so they can, with a more informed background, decide if they want to go further, decide if they have a particular area of interest, or maybe just feel more comfortable with what comes down the road to them.
Yeah. So it is, in other words, it is a very slow drip release of information.
I think so. I will say that I was particularly impressed by that June 9th meeting on the Capitol steps. And there were some reasons that I had on that. I think, again, I've been getting, perforce, you get into the political aspect of this too. But there were certain things there I thought that were quite interesting. Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, Eric Burleson, and Jared Moskowitz on the other side of the aisle have been really strong, perhaps, the Republican Big Three, especially in this, it's almost a crusade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just UFOs, of course, with APL there. It's, she's got the whole of the declassification of federal secret stuff, but it's trying to get the American people the kind of information that they do deserve.
Yeah.
And they made a very strong pitch, I think, to the president to make an executive order, because I don't think that Congress alone, particularly because in their party, some of the heads of these various committees are, some of them represent areas that are federal, a lot of federal organizations there. And of course, they have to listen to their constituents and all that.
Yeah.
But they made a very strong pitch to President Trump to go around that and help out.
Yeah.
I don't think they could have done that. At least I missed out that they could have made that forceful a pitch if they hadn't checked with the White House before.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a very positive indication.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was good. About the only thing that I saw, a few people saw something more, was Grush talking about the range of NHI, from the bipedal corporeal down to the sentient plasmas or plasmoids. Wasn't clear how that came out. And that was a wower to me that he got that specific. And that certainly is, I think, going to ignite curiosity, at least among anybody that hears that, even your average person in the street.
Yeah, well, Brush has stated that they have biological entities from these crashed discs. And in fact, they're trying to indict Grush for leaking secret information. Now, in my opinion, that's confirmation, and that's disclosure. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think it's also an indication of the lengths, which is even wider subject, that they will go to threaten and punish whistleblowers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they can. That was a particularly strong statement that he made there.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, this series of moves against David Grush goes back some time. And, that's a whole nother podcast. This is one American hero. Yeah. And now he's being backed more and more by others. But that is at least you can get into the weeds talking about sources and methods versus the content. And that's why you see supposedly all of the redaction or the blurring outs or the coverage of the metadata in the videos. And we know that a lot of that would not need to be done. There's an awful lot of, I think, honestly, subterfuge going on, and it has gone on for 80 years.
Yes. I need to take a break right now just to remind our listeners, you're listening to We Are Not Alone. I'm David Twitchell, your host, and we're speaking with Mr. Bill Murphy, who is a researcher and reporter for the Anomalist.com. And let's get back to him. You're talking about, we were talking about the slow drip information. You may have mentioned that some official video footage has been released. However, some has been redacted. What is your take on this?
Well, so far, it's been interesting to somebody like you and me and a lot of our listeners here, but I think we'll all agree that it's not been really that probative. One of the big things was the instantaneous acceleration that we saw. But if you look at that closely, I think, I at least personally think that the researchers I've looked at who are talking about it say that the camera, the IR camera, I guess it is, loses its lock. And basically it's rising while the object is still moving. And that gives a stronger impression of zippy acceleration than one would think. Mm-hmm. That was a big one. There's a lot of stuff that they show now that really does seem to me to be birds. But there are a few interesting things of the objects in question circling a submarine that surfaced and apparently dipping in and out of the water. Some birds may do that, but that's something I think that has intrigued people. But it's nothing that you can really say, it's data to me. I'm not sure it gets to completely to evidence. It's certainly not proof. And we know from what we're hearing by people we can trust that there's better stuff there. Now, whether that's part of a gradual process or whether it is the DOD, AET, of course, is somewhat of a different ballpark. There's some different regulations there. But the Air Force in particular trying to hold back. And I think ultimately, Dave, a lot of it is they don't want to admit that they do not have full control over our skies
That's
in that
all.
area.
That's
Yeah,
always been it, Bill.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm a little excited about this, as you can tell.
Mhm.
This is such a great venue for me. But it means that June 25th, 2021 preliminary assessment was so important
Mhm.
in the history of ufology because that was the first time that in decades and decades, the U.S. government turned around and said, no Robertson panel conclusions, forget the Condon committee. There is a there.
Mhm.
And it's at least air safety, and it's very likely strategic defense interest.
Mhm.
And, that came out as a result, of course, of December 16, 2017. And the rest is history. But there have been some very courageous people, whistleblowers. I will even give Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp a lot of credit.
Yeah.
At the start, I thought Jeremy was kind of loud and stuff like that, and the old Murph dude has gotten a little bit wiser. Have to admit, these guys, of course, George goes back forever,
Yeah.
have contributed greatly to the field, and they do deserve kudos.
Right. George Knapp was on my show briefly when I had the TV show We Are Not Alone.
Ah,
Yeah. So I know him. I'd love to get Corbell,
Jeremy, yeah,
Jeremy on the show. So
yeah.
you don't have any in with him, do you?
No, I don't. I've never even met the gentleman, but I would like to shake his hand.
Really? Really not.
Yeah.
So anyway, John Greenwald has been collecting official government documents on UFOs since he was a teenager. So
Right.
his Black Vault website has much to offer. He was a guest on the show back in 2009.
Hmm.
What do you know about Greenwald's most recent evidence as a result of the FOIA requests?
I haven't seen very much from him most recently. I think last year he was extraordinarily active. I reported on a lot of that stuff. And incidentally, if people are interested in following up, it may take me a while to get back to them, but I would give them my Murphy Bill UFO. See if I can find it here in my preparation. Uh,
Murphy Bill UFO. What does that
UFO
mean?
at UFO at gmail.com address
Okay.
to write because I still have that archive. Uh, I'll find that as we go through.
Okay. Okay. But you say he was more active last year, Greenwald.
Well, he may have been. Um, he may be. I think he's still very active. He's doing a lot of archiving of
Hmm.
some of the stuff, and that's in special areas, and that is, I think, going to be outstandingly interesting to your readership, so they can get more information than they had about some of the other things that have been going on,
Hmm.
the other data drops that he's been successful. He's been the most successful of the FOIA people. And again, he is one of the, well, I guess you'd say heroes of ufology as well.
Yeah. He was a hero of ufology back when he was, I think he started his website, Black Vault, when he was 15 years old. And he already had a whole bunch of government documents. And I remember him telling me that when he was on the show, he couldn't get a hold of certain documents to prove UFOs were real, and they were all hidden. But we shared those. America shared those documents with Canada. So
Right.
he just walked on over to Canada and says, "Yeah, you got anything on UFOs? Yeah, here you go," and
Yep.
handed them over. Yeah.
Yeah. He's remarkable. That's, by the way, it's Murphy Bill, MURPHYBILL UFO at gmail.com. Murphy Bill UFO at gmail.com.
And what can people hope to?
Well, what I've got is an archive of uh, articles that goes back. Well, I'm trying to expand it back to 2016, but right now, I'd say the last 3 or 4 years, which would be the more, up to date articles. I can point people to those articles. Also would mention on the CUFOS website, George Eberhardt has a continuing, I guess we'll say, feature of UFO material, chronological. So it goes back all the way to like the, my goodness, 1790s or something like that.
Mm,
It's called a UFO timeline. Since the 8th century AD. And he also does at the end of the year put out like end of the year summaries, but he'll have a particular case or a particular topic, and he will point you to the resources for that newspaper and other treatments. So you can get some of the primary sources to that, and it's free. So that's a really good resource. The CUFOS website has got a lot of other free things like international UFO reporters from the beginning. It's got Humcat, the humanoid uh, uh, cases catalog, and even books that are free that can be downloaded. Some of the great books that CUFOS has put out.
mm,
There's a few freebies on the Anomalist.com website as well. So
mm,
CUFOS.org, CUFOS.org is another good resource.
yeah. So you may be getting a lot of emails at Murphy Bill UFO.
UFO,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do my best. I won't be able to, you know, get back in some cases. Uh, fighting a few other fights here, but this is very important to me to try to get out information to people who are interested.
Yeah, well, I know you, Bill, and it always has been important to you. Even when you
Thank
were here in Michigan and associated with Michigan MUFON.
you.
So
Times were good times.
it was a good time, yeah. Yeah, well, hey, you can always visit, you know. Yeah, he chuckles. Bill chuckles.
I got Ken back there, so yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah. So yeah, I got one of the questions I had was on the Capitol Steps meeting. You already mentioned that, right?
Yeah,
Where can people go to see that on YouTube?
yeah. There's just go in there, or what you can do is to go online and you know pump that in. June 9th, Capitol Steps. I think there's a that was part of the group that Anna Luna operates the task force. They had a little sign there, but I think it said June 9th, 2026, Capitol Steps UFO meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That would show them where the resources were, and it probably would list YouTube as well as articles. And some of those articles lead to podcasts anyway
Yeah.
that would be on YouTube. I
Yeah,
found YouTube to be a pretty good source.
yeah. The good part about uh, that meeting and others. Like when it comes to the UFO phenomena, it's not political at all. It's
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. There's partisan politics, and then I view it a whole different thing about the relationship of the government to the governed. And governed also means served to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have your partisan differences, and of course everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for how government should respond to its people, how it needs to inform them as well as protect, defend, and help them out in human affairs, that's a big question. And one of the, I think, larger issues behind June 9th, and I think Anna Paulina Luna made this clear, is that the UFO area, what we're all focused on right here, is only part of a much larger issue in this government public relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because with those other files that we've talked about and Epstein and all that, there are other areas where the government literally needs to come clean. This stuff is run by humans. Humans mess up. And if you have such power, that has tremendous consequences, not just the UFO field. So there is a larger issue here, and it's not really a political issue.
It's not a political, no, nonpartisan. And I have to give both sides credit when they start talking about UFOs and they start talking about the phenomenon in itself. They haven't really touched much on the abduction and contactee part of it, but
Very perceptive.
Huh?
Very perceptive. Yes.
Yeah, they will. They will. They have to. It's part of the whole deal.
Right.
But when it comes to that, they set their politics aside and say, "Yeah, this is real. Let's let's talk about it. Let's get the facts." And I got to give them all credit for that, no matter which side, no matter which side of the aisle they're on. You know.
Yes.
You talk about something you call boxless thinking. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, very briefly, if I can, being a quality thinker, I guess. Too often we do live in these boxes of what's comfortable for us.
Mm-hmm.
In statistics, it would be the 3 standard deviations each way from the middle, from the norm. Anything beyond that, anything that's too unusual, too anomalous. Sometimes, well, in statistics, we just kind of don't look at that.
Mm-hmm.
In our business, that's verboten. That's, you don't go there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Anomalist is geared to take us places beyond that consensus reality. So we live in these boxes, but too often when people get into something, they'll jump from one box into another constraining box. And that relates to how you look at the world, the things you consider most sacred or sacrosanct in believing, some of the things that you think kind of adhere to that. And then you are, as you go towards the edge of the box, you come up ultimately against an area, I will not go further. But we got to knock down the box compartment itself and go to an area where most everything, except maybe some of the basics, about murder and your relationship to whatever you believe is most important in the universe, but to be open to new information. And too often I've seen people do this in other areas where they will go from one viewpoint not related to UFOs to another, and immediately excoriate those people they've left. I'm seeing that. Another thing that I'm kind of excited about is keeping the plight of people with long COVID before the public. And there are two ways now that people are looking at that as just a medical or maybe a mind-body kind of situation. And people are going one way without looking at the other. And there are actually death threats from both sides against people who pronounce or ascribe too strongly to one of these areas or another. That helps none of us who have long COVID. It helps no way for progress, and it's just not the way humans are supposed to act.
Yeah.
So we have to have a rock in the middle, however that we choose that, but be open to new things.
Right.
And not feel we have to throw out everything if we change our minds a little bit. In statistics, you may negate or you may find too much evidence against the null hypothesis that nothing should be changed. But then when you look at the new thing, you're not necessarily saying that's it. Saying that UFOs are not just swamp gas, proving that doesn't mean they have Alpha Centauri license plates. But it is interesting, and it makes you want to ask more questions.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I need to take one more break to remind our listeners that you're listening to We Are Not Alone. I'm your host, David Twitchell, and we're speaking with journalist and researcher, Mr. Bill Murphy. Now, with all of these BAs, MAs, it's not Dr. Murphy, is it?
No, I lost my momentum on the ancient history. I was a Greek and Roman person, we'll say. I passed my doctoral prelims in ancient Greek, ancient Roman, Byzantine, and 4th century BC Greek numismatics with a side on art and archaeology. When I came back from Ann Arbor, sorry folks, I did go there for a while, came back to Lansing and started teaching at Lansing Community College and fell in love with a old dead dude named King Tut. And I then transferred my interest to teaching and to ancient Egypt. And French, German, Latin, and ancient Greek, that was enough for me. I would have had to learn more languages, more script systems, and so I got a job on the line at Oldsmobile, and then taught for 14 years. I taught co-temporally, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And then the GM job took me away from teaching in, 93.
So, have you seen the documentary, The Age of Disclosure?
I sure have. I've bought it.
You bought it. Do you feel it's too similar to other documentaries on the subject, or of its ilk, or does it present new evidence?
I think that it does share a lot of similarities, but the breadth of the people that were consulted, different political backgrounds, different job titles. To me, I found it to be a very, very strong and one of the more beneficial documentaries on the subject to advancing the discipline itself.
Well, that's great. So you would recommend it, the Age of Disclosure?
I would definitely recommend The Age of Disclosure. I think it was a box office smash for, I bought it from Amazon, I guess. But I just thought that it was great to get all of these different people with all of these different backgrounds that are they're people that are credible in themselves. And I know that Marco Rubio kind of walked back his statements a bit, but I'm sure he will hold himself to what he was saying. And he's
What was
pretty
that?
important.
What,
Secretary.
what was it?
Yeah.
What was he walking back? Or what statement did he make that he walked?
Well, he was saying, well, I was talking about that a few years ago and stuff like that. I think he was just trying to kind of reduce the excitement because people were, I think, making too much of him as being a filthy UFO advocate. You know, he's,
Darn him
he,
anyway.
yeah, he didn't say anything that I thought was, was really serious. Ratcliffe talked, as I recall, some of the former, uh, Democratic, powerhouses in previous administrations. And, Rubio has got he's got a really important job. And I think he, just didn't want people to, think he was pushing too much. But it does show how important I think people regarded that particular documentary.
Well, I can't see why he would walk it back now, given all of the the our representatives that are coming forward, like Luna oh,
Oh no, he wasn't walking back the basic points as I regard it.
okay.
It was just that people picked on him
Hmm.
because now he's actually got two jobs and he's got enough stuff to worry about as it is,
Right.
and that's the problem with some of these people step out even at such a level. Uh, there are forces that will attack them.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. So tell us about the Anomalist.com. What can our listeners expect to find there?
Well, there's just about everything that's unusual under the sun. We have an international group of people, a couple from England, one from Canada, and then myself and Patrick Weege are from the United States. And they get into areas such as ghosts, psi, and cryptids, some really good cryptozoology stuff that pertains to Michigan, as I recall.
Hmm.
And of course, the Loch Ness monster and things like that, but apparitions and just things that are, well, there's a lot of science uh, involved in this, and they are very talented. Linda Powell is the author of the best, really actually the only, but a very strong book on, Donald Kehoe. That's important. And the Anomalous also does have a catalog of books they put out. We have 10 books that are written by or with Jacques Vallée that we publish. We have some very interesting books, of course, in the UFO field, but the forbidden science thing is really picking up a lot of interest. Nick Redfern and Mac Tunney's have got books. One is on the Collins Elite. That's Nick, I believe. Max is about crypto-terrestrials. And we're seeing people dive into those books as they look into the history of those subjects. So I would say go on that site, anomalist.com, and you'll find a variety of these things. There's also some older articles that are available free, but and the site itself, to access our weekday reviews is free.
And if you're scrolling down the page and you see in parentheses BM, That means that Bill Murphy wrote that article.
Well, actually, there's a story there. It'll be WM
Oh, it's
because,
WM? Okay.
yeah, because when I was growing up, BM had a bad connotation.
Yeah, yeah, you're
And
right.
once I taught a class with a guy named Bob Sammartino, and so it was BM and BS. That didn't look good.
It didn't work very well, did it? No, I
No,
apologize. It is WM. WM. Forget I said the other thing. I'm not going to edit that out. I'm just going to leave it.
that's just, other people wouldn't, get that, but we get that, Dave.
We get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it in for a laugh. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was going to ask you all these different things on anomalous.com. UFOs and Bigfoot and ghosts, and I think they're all connected. What do you think?
I've come more and more to think there is a continuum. I think, we talk about portals. I've learned, I think, a little more about portals since I first heard about that. And of course, Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, you know, that may be a absolute case in point. Um,
Hmm.
there are cases, I think, or places where the seam is thin
Hmm.
between our reality and whatever else it is. You can talk, dimensions, or you can even get into time. But that's one of the reasons why people think that the Loch Ness situation is tenable, that there may be, animals that can come and go. Same for Bigfoot. I would have tossed that off before, but I think that reality is bigger than we know it, and perhaps even can know it. I think the search is worth it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've talked to other guests about Bigfoot and why they never find carcasses of Bigfoot. And, uh, well, because they just come in from another dimension and walk out of another dimension. And if they die, they're taken out of this dimension. What do you think?
It could be. That's, not at the absolute center of my belief system, but I'm not putting it outside the box. There's no box.
There is no
And
box. No.
yeah, and that Sasquatch UFO relationship is something that's creeped closer to my core too, as
Yeah.
I've grown up or
Right.
grown old.
Right. So let's pick one of the one or two of the articles you've done for the Anomalist and pick them apart as to UFOs, unless there's something really, really good in the ghost area. I'm open. I don't live in a box.
Oh, what would you like to talk about?
Well, any case that convincing evidence to you that you published in the Anomalist.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to go back to some of the old classics there.
Good.
There's one thing we should maybe talk about a little bit too, is the missing cases, missing scientist thing. Briefly, I'll just say about that, I really don't know. There's not all of those people are related that much, but there are 4 or 5 the government should investigate at least. I think it was Matthew Sullivan's death, supposedly suicide. I go back to some of the old standards, and I would put the Tic Tac right up there
Mm.
right now, because of the documentation, because of the people involved, direct firsthand witnesses of impeccable credentials, not just as people, but as professionals, Dietrich and Fravor. I think that is a pretty solid case for something unusual.
Mm.
I'm always of several minds about Rendlesham. That was so poisoned, I think, by uh, some of the initial writing on that.
Larry Warren? A Larry Warren story?
Some of those original, yeah. However you look at that, there was so much byplay, but I do think there was there. I don't think it's a lighthouse, for goodness sakes.
Oh, no.
But the more that actually we get stuff about Roswell, we get stuff about Rendlesham. Just it's not a week or two if we don't get something from Roswell. Kevin Randall's always digging up something or refuting something. There's always people that really want to explain that away. Rendlesham does provide a lot of stuff. I haven't even had a chance to read some of there's a 500-page book on that by one of the English writers. There are cases like that I'd really love to delve into. I think that the Ariel School incident in Australia, and it has echoes in other schools as well, including one in America. I think those are extraordinarily interesting
Schools,
cases.
is it?
Yeah, the Ariel School case in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, Zimbabwe, yeah.
Yeah, documented by Mac, and I think Cynthia Hind was investigating that too.
Right.
These are fascinating. I think that's a very interesting case.
Mm-hmm. One case that I think is very interesting, I don't know how much you know about it. There's too much involved in this case to go into it right now. We're, got like 6 minutes, but maybe if you're familiar with it, we could do another show on it, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Is the not Virginia.
Oh, Varginha.
Gardenia.
Yes. Oh, that's worth a whole nother podcast too.
Yeah.
That is an excruciatingly interesting case. There's more coming out on that all the time. James Fox did, a good initial documentary on that, and he's come up with another more recently. I thought the presentation that he made was quite interesting. Yes, you could do a whole thing. You'd probably find a better resource for that, but I'd be willing to work a month on that to bone up, be able to describe that one and talk to you about it better.
Let's do that. Let's set that up for a future date and talk
Okay.
about. Now, how do you pronounce it again, the city?
Well, I pronounce it Varginha.
Virginia.
Varginha or something like
I
that.
think so.
Yeah, that's
I try to remember it as Virginia.
Yeah.
It's not Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia.
No. And to be honestly perfect with you, or perfectly honest, I don't get all those things right either.
Yeah. So do our listeners a favor and bone up on that
Virginia?
case. Yeah, Virginia. And
Okay.
give me a chance to pronounce it properly.
I don't know if that's it.
Well, it's all right. It's in Brazil. But there's a case about not just a landing. I guess they did find a craft that was landed, but a being that 3 kids saw this little being, and some military man touched it, moved it, and that guy died from an unknown virus.
Right.
And on. The whole thing is just fascinating. So
Yeah, and it gets deeper the deeper you get into it, because the U.S. gets involved in that, and there's a lot of maybe one of those occupants resides in the U.S. now, dead or alive.
one of them. I thought there was only one that they found.
There's a question about that, but the one ended up in one of the local hospitals.
Right.
And like I say, I think there were stories about the 2 of them, I think, a foot or a claw, or walking around somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I would love to investigate further.
Yeah. Well, you say that James Fox did a documentary on it, right?
Yeah, he did too, the way I understand it. I still have to see both of them, but I thought the presentation was very effective, and that's one of those that warmed up in my mind as I'm looking at all these other things. Most of the recent cases, Dave, that we get are not that good, and with CGI and AI and all that stuff, it's very hard to deal with them.
Yeah.
But the Virginia thing has some really good witnesses and some very interesting storylines.
Are those children at the time? Are they still alive? Do you know?
Yeah, and one of them, at least, I think maybe more, testified. I believe their mother testified as well, and some of what happened after they, if they were identified as connected, people coming and offering them money or telling them what they should say. Again, this the human part of the UFO human connection. There's a lot to learn and maybe to answer for in some of these instances where these cases have happened, and people, just average everyday people, are threatened.
Yeah. So they were offered money to keep quiet?
I think that the woman was offered money if her daughter didn't. And again, this is right off the top of my head. Well, yeah, that may have not, there may not have been a threat there, but I think there were strong indications of how to deal with it.
Maybe you could watch that video again, that documentary again, take notes, and get back with me, and we'll do this again, okay?
Okay, Dave.
Meanwhile, where can our listeners go to find out more about your work?
Well, again, anomalist.com, anomalist.com. There's, of course, HTTPS in front of that, but anomalist.com will get them there. And CUFOS.org, CUFOS.org. Those would be the two places. And then, of course, if they did have specific questions to ask me, murphyvilleufo@gmail.com.
Very good. Bill Murphy, it's been an honor having you back on the show.
Hey, it's an honor and a pleasure to be with you again, Dave.
And I look forward to our next talk, okay?
Take care, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
And thank you, the loyal listener, as well as Sonny at nightmusemedia.com. You can go to my website at ufoimplications.com. That's ufoimplications.com for all the archive shows. And watch for more installments on nightmusemedia.com. So until next time, this is David Twitchell reminding you to keep an eye on the sky.